that, you know, immortality buffs just do not exist in this dojo. Hey, welcome back to the channel. All right, Necropolis is only a few days away, and this is a very exciting time in the game, right? Because right now, we see the rewards, we see the challenge, like we're getting a new form of content. We've been using all these champions in smaller health pools. We had Grandmaster's Gauntlet open it up a little bit, and all that sort of thing. But now there's all these great rewards. There's all of these things we don't know, but we know it's gonna be content that's gonna give us hours and hours and hours of hopefully very fun gameplay. And there's anticipation, there's prognostication, there's this whole thing. And it is a blast. And I want to dive right into it and have some fun too. Now I've put out some videos, right? Put out Gamora, put Kate Bishop, but I know other great content creators have put out more too of these champions where we're like, look, we know they're good here, or we think they're good here, but you get to these bigger health pools and they might be phenomenal. So here's what we're gonna do today. Is a couple things. I'm gonna list my top 10, kind of like my MVPs. I don't think we're gonna have a full horseman scenario like we did for Abyss. I wanna make that clear right now. I don't think it's gonna be like you need these 4 champions, otherwise you're really gonna struggle. And then you're gonna use them, they're gonna be your main clears. I don't think that's what we're gonna have here. I really don't. We'll find out. So I'm gonna name those top 10. But before we do that, I'm gonna also name my sleepers and my busts. And I will define them before we go up so we can all make sure we're on the same page. Because I still think these champions might still be good, even though if they're a bust, I just don't think they're gonna be as good as everyone else thinks they're going to be, or as a lot of people think they're going to be. And then the last thing I do want to say is, this is very much for fun, right? I mean, I am going to name champions who I genuinely think are going to be good, but I don't know any more than you do. Like, we've had a lot of fun with Kate Gate and Gamora Gate and, you know, Gate and the whole thing. It's been a blast, but I literally don't know anything more than you do right now too. This is like us having fun. I'd like in the comments for you to tell me, no, here's my top 10 MVPs, here's my busts, here's my sleepers, and then, you know, 3 or 4 months from now, or maybe even just a month, we'll see. We can go back and be like, hey, we got that right, we got that wrong. This was really cool. Have a lot of fun with it. But I do genuinely believe these are the champions that I'm going to be the most excited to test myself, because I will be testing, I will be streaming as well. And then also watching the streams and testing of other summoners and YouTubers and things like that. We're gonna have a great time with this. We've even got the channel set up on my Discord and the whole thing. So let's go ahead and jump straight into this here. I'm gonna start off with my busts. And for what I mean by busts is, I still think these champions will be usable. They're very good champions. There's reason to believe they'll be good, but there's just some things about them that I think they're not gonna be as efficient or as strong as it would be reasonable to assume. I don't wanna put words into anyone's mouths, okay? But I just don't think they're gonna be that great. I really don't. I'm open to the idea I'm wrong. But first of all, one, it's a very broad category and it's just 6 stars. Okay, the game is clearly moving to 7 stars. They're incentivizing 7 stars. I really don't think there's anything wrong with that. They're moving the game forward. And there's even like the whole challenger rating thing. Like, they have not hidden the ball from us on this. Like, should not be shocking news. Now, I still think 6 stars will be very usable. And if anything, you're going to see when I go through my top 10, you're going to see like some of those champions aren't available 7 stars. You know that, right? I do. I just want to keep expectations very realistic on that. And I do think 6 stars are going to struggle quite a bit in comparison to 7 stars. And you're gonna see that in my 2 through 5 on my bust. My number 1 bust, and this one actually hurts because I have multiple friends who've kind of seen this list, and they were like, please don't put that out into the world. But they're like, you know, he's having fun, and we get it, is a Guillotine 2099. Now, part of this might be, she's my number 1 bust, by the way, is that I was burned before with Abyss. You know, we all were like, oh, she's clearly made for it. She came out before. Like, we were reading the tea leaves. The 2 + 2 equaled absolutely 4 on the dot. And then we got her there and we're like, ending the fights in the special 3 is so painful, but that's the only way to carry it over. And if we can't carry it over, then we have to start the ramp. And I know the logic here for Necropolis is that, well, it's got a different sort of basically execute mechanism, right? Because it's time, not hits. And so I'm open to the idea that somehow Gilly 2099 will be good for it. I have a 7-star Awaken, so I'd be very happy if she's good for it. But something just tells me it's more about her kit than it is about the content with that one. So there we go. Number 2, my number 2 bust is Nick Fury. And I'm just gonna say it, 2 through 5 is kind of Kabam being like, we are sick and tired of you. We know we created you and put you in this game, but we are tired of you dominating it. We are tired of people just saying like, you know what? I'm not gonna read the note. I'm just gonna use you anyway. And I think it'd be very easy to put in some very strict limiters on the nodes that are very much tailored to these champions. And here they are. It's 2 through 5. Nick Fury, Hercules, Archangel, Human Torch. You hear me call them the broken champions every tier list I do. I'm like, well, look, I ranked up my 6-star because I don't think they're ever coming to 7 stars. Well, you know, to me, let's put it this way. If I was running Kabam and I was doing the quests, like pretty high up on the list of priorities, on the general themes that I give the quest designer would be like, I don't want these 4 champions ruining the quest again. Do you understand me? Do not do it. I don't care what you have to do. I don't care if you have to make the node say they are Nova Flame immune. I don't care if you say that, you know, immortality buffs just do not exist in this dojo. Like, I don't care what you have to do, but do not let these 4 champions march through Necropolis, because they already did it in Abyss and they've done it throughout the rest of the content. I don't care. And so to me, it's just like, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm open to the idea I'm wrong. Hercules clearly did that with Cerastes, even though I think that looks like it was an intention, was to try to make it more difficult to use him. He just has that way, but he's not that great in longest form content anyway. But, you know, Eternity of Pain, Summer Pain, he was pretty good. So keep that in mind. So those are my bus lists. Now let's go and get onto the sleepers. Sleepers are, I don't feel super confident about this. These are champions where I'm more like, you know what? I think there's a good reason to think this, all right? Number 1 is Storm. I believe Nagase just put out a video on Storm. Obviously, you know, like Barrowman was doing incredibly cool stuff in Abyss with Storm. Now, the issue is going to be there. Can you really make her a horsewoman? I guess it would be. Now you're bringing in like synergies. You're having to get your Apocalypse going. You have to make her that. They obviously changed her a little bit too. I think it made her buff made her individually better, but I don't know if she's quite as strong horsewoman-y or whatever the word would be. We're making words up now. So I have hesitation with her there, but I do think she has a relatively simple style of play. And I think there's something to be said for that when the nodes and the defenders themselves may be very tricky, right? Like not having to worry too much about that might be really helpful. My number 2 and number 3 are gonna go, I'm gonna actually put them together. And I realize I haven't been changing the screen here, but my number 2 and my number 3 are actually going to go together. And we've got Photon, and I'm gonna combine this with Absorbing Man. Now I'm doing this for a very specific reason, which is, you know, my good friend DLL designed both of these champions. And I just want to say this right now. I want to say one thing. I said it earlier, but I want to say this right now because I know people skip around. I am not a selfish enough person to ask him to divulge any information that could ever get his job in jeopardy. He is phenomenal at his job, and I really love my friend. So I want to see him do exceptionally well. Also, he's not dumb. He's in fact very, very brilliant. He's not going to divulge information that could get him in serious trouble with his job. He's quite good at his job. So everything I'm about to say, I want to make that really clear. We can have fun and joke around and all that stuff. And I'm going to joke around later in this video, and I already have joked around. But when it's come time to being serious, I want to make this really clear. This is all just me putting some tea leaves together, okay? With Photon and Absorbing Man. Now, obviously, I think his channel's phenomenal, him being DLL. I think his champions are phenomenal. But if you listen very closely, in his spotlight videos that he goes over both of the ones that he designed, he talks about the special 3 for both of these champions and how they could be very helpful in longer fights. Well, you know, that could be applied to like Grandmaster's Gauntlet, I guess, Eternity of Pain. So that might be all he's talked about. And I very specifically have not asked him this because of what I just said. But I've played Absorbing Man, and that special 3, when you get it, is very, very powerful. And with the utility that both of these champions have, Photon and Absorbing Man, they can handle a very large amount of challenges that a defender and a node could throw against you. I'm not betting on either of them to be MVPs, but if a node looks like it might work for them, you can guarantee I'm gonna test it out. Both of them with the special 3 route. So keep that in mind. All right, this one's pretty cool. This one's pretty cool for me because this is a champion I've never really used, gotten to use that well, but a lot of people love him. A lot of the really smart players tend to love this champion. Why is he hiding? Come here, you old man. is Odin. Now, Odin's in a 7-star crystal. I think it's the loyalty crystal, right? And I know some very smart players, what's up, Eris, who have pulled him and they want to use him. And some of you are probably like, remember, he's got that true strike off of the SP1. Where is it? Let's go ahead and take a quick look at it. Right? He's got the true strike buff off the SP1. You're going to hear me talk about another champion, or hopefully you've seen my video, where I was like, listen, this true strike on a cosmic champion, this could be a thing. Well, he's got it off his SP1, which is even easier to access. And then also his damage off of the max health could really be great in a place like this, where the health pools are large. I'm not telling you I'm sure on this one, but he is very high up there. If I had a 7-star Odin, I would be very interested in testing him out, and then if he works, ranking him up. All right, let's go ahead and move on. That's a great transition to the actual number 5 here, staying in this class. We have 6 sleepers here, is Gamora. Now, I did the video, and I actually would have put her in my top 10, because I really believe this. I really believe that her ramp, and I show this very well in the video, that her ramp, you don't need to get her fully ramped before you're doing very meaningful damage. And in content where they can shorten the amount of time, how long we can be in there, and this one, it sounds like it's going to be time, and you want to use her relic, and her relic is great, and it's a really important part to making her so good. Being able to ramp quickly and have the only thing you're really concerned about being landing your heavy every once in a while, I just feel like she's probably going to be a very efficient champion. I'd be surprised if she's soloing fights, but I'll be honest, I'd be surprised if we have very many solos outside of some rare exceptions with like heal reversal. Steaton showed that, right, with that fight against Diablo. So I'm very excited. I have mine at rank 2. I ranked her up because I think she's a good champion. I like using her in battlegrounds, but I just think she's gonna be usable, and she's gonna be usable in a way where you're efficient with your resources. So keep that in mind. And then number 6 was actually, and I talked about this in the video that I did with Gamora. So the synergy partner here with Mr. Fantastic. And this one is it's a little stretched out. I am definitely kind of making some assumptions that lead me to some conclusions. And if any of those assumptions are wrong, then this one will start to fall apart quite a bit. But with his pre-fights, and look at all of these synergies that he has. And then, of course, all his debuffs, all the things he can do with healing and power and all of that. He's got a relatively simple play style. He also eventually gets, it's that second part of his SIG, right? Mr. Fantastic offensive combat power rate is increased from 10 to 50%. So if you have a high SIG Mr. Fantastic, then you get those careful studies up. You're going to be able to increase your combat power rate, meaning you're going to throw specials more frequently. And I believe that's going to be a way to get yourself more time in a fight. So champions who can throw more specials, or who can increase their power gain or something like that, it makes a lot of sense to me. Now, like I said, this is kind of part of like almost like he's feeding off of the potential for Gamora there too, but you saw he had synergies with other champions. So like I said, I have him at rank 4. If there's fights that look like they'd be good for him, I will definitely be considering taking him to rank 5 if we get those sorts of materials from Cyber Weekend or something like that. He's on my list of sleepers, and I think it makes a lot of sense. All right, now let's go and look at my true top 10. Yo, what's up, bros? Vega asked me to come in and give the number 10 one, and I think it makes a lot of sense because actually it's my number 1, and it's the one I'm gonna recommend that you use. You could do all this like role playing and try to like figure out the nodes and the counters and the defenders, but I really think the best option, bro, is you're just gonna want to use your Aegon. And you really want to think long term on this stuff. I wouldn't even take him to rank 5. I wouldn't ascend him or anything like that. Like, just get the SIG to a good level. You could do it with like a rank 4. And bro, I mean, like, honestly, trust. You gotta trust on this one, dude. Is like Aegon and Unit Man are undefeated so far, bro. Like, if you think about it, like Labyrinth of Legends, right? I mean, that's a long time ago, but he was built for that, right? And then we have Abyss. He destroyed that. Like, I mean, Vega even says he didn't understand it that well, so he just used Aegon and Unit Man. And so, like, I know there's gonna be all this stuff in Vega. I've been listening to him. That dude is crazy. But he's talking about like role playing and abilities and combat. What the heck is combat power rate? I say, don't even worry about it, bro. Just go in, rank up your Aegon, ramp him up, revive like crazy, and then hit up that unit store, bro. You buy those units, You revive Unit Man, Aegon, undefeated all the time, every day, MCoC. You heard it here. Go for it. Your boy, Cabro. I don't even know how to fully explain what that was about, but it did make a little bit of sense to me. Cabro is right. Aegon and Unit Man are still literally undefeated. And yeah, that is how I got through the Abyss of Legends, but I've gotten better at this game, and I'm going to suggest you test out, you look at using 9 other champions. But I do think that if that's not what you want to do and you just want to mindlessly go through it because it is hours of content, Aegon, get him to rank 5. Don't listen to Cabro. Take him to rank 5. Maybe even ascend him. Save yourself a lot of items and try to stay away from that unit store. All right, let's go ahead and look at my number 9 option now. My number 9 is going to actually be Wong. Wong is an interesting one for me because he was not buffed, and there was the opportunity to do that. And we've had Battlegrounds metas where he's been quite effective. He's been effective as a defender, but you've also been able to use him offensively. And one of the things that's kind of held him back, and I think it was Legacy showed this very well in some videos, was he can be amazing in longer form content. But by the time he came into the game, Abyss of Legends was relatively inefficient to do, meaning for the rewards versus the amount of time it took, right? Like Bam's even talking about that. That's the reason why there's a mastery point that's going to be available in Necropolis, is they're aware that after a certain amount of time goes by, days, months, years, that sort of thing, the content that they spent so much time building, it makes no sense for a player to go in there anymore because it does take so much time and it could take so much resource. This all ties together. Trust me, I'm leading somewhere with this. Is one of the things with Wong was that he was good in long form content. We just didn't have a place where us more active players, in-game players, were utilizing him. And players who were coming up were like, why would I go into Abyss? There's no reason for me to do that. Wong was left alone. He was not buffed. He seems built for this. He seems really, really built for this. His playstyle's not too difficult. I actually pulled one myself. He's not awakened, so I'm not sure. But I would love to have a place to use him. I think this makes sense, and he can even, remember, he can start healing and things like that, which could be helpful. And then, as we've talked about, specials appear to be a way, throwing specials appear to be a way to elongate your fight, which will be very helpful to a player as you're trying to get through this content efficiently. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Now, the only reason why I don't think we're gonna see a lot of number 8 immediately, it's gonna take time, is that they're so new into this game. And remember what I kind of said about the 6 stars. Well, I think you're going to want the 7 star if you can. If it's the 6 star, you're going to want to make sure that he's like a dominant figure. And I don't think I'm ready to call him a dominant. Like, let's see it. Let's get a couple days where he dominates, or they dominate, because I guess Vox is a collection of a bunch of beings. But Vox can do significant damage, and their damage ramp is relatively quick. They're throwing the specials, and also it is relatively unique. It's all those degenerations, right? So, you could see someone being like bleed immune or poison immune or what have you, or shock immune. Degen immune is very rare, very odd, very unique for that to come out, and for it to be on a node or something like that. So this could be someone who, if they are strong in Abyss, I think could take a variety of fights, like a certain lane or something like that. So keep your eye on Vox. A lot of the people who have the 7 stars have said, like, Vox does a lot of damage. Okay, we're going to stay in the Cosmic class for number 7. Now, this is one where I did not put him in the bus, even if you have the 6 star. I think if you've got like a rank 5, stick 200, like Campo MC, check out his channel for some really great null gameplay, or once Abyss or Necropolis gets going for testing and things like that. I could see Null being fantastic for it because the signature ability is so helpful to his ramp, meaning you really don't even need to do the ramp. Without it, and hopefully you've seen my video where I pulled a 7 star and I was a little down because he's not going to be awakened in time for this. The DLL and call was like, look, though, people have been testing, and with the 7 star, you can get there, the amount of time in the fight, that whole sort of thing. It made a lot of sense to me. I do think this is one, though, where you want the awakened ability, at least initially. I don't want people to get too excited seeing Null on this list. If they have the unawakened 7 star, make sure you see it in Abyss first. But I mean, the reality is, we were talking about like the power and all of these sorts of things, and the amount of specials that Null can throw, the armor breaks, the amount of damage, the healing back. There's a lot of reasons to believe Null could be an absolute MVP. I have him as my number 6 most likely. number MVP. Now, moving on to number 5. This one's going to be a bit counterintuitive, I think, but when you let me discuss it, I think you'll understand why. Is one, she has an incredibly nice synergy piece for Kate Bishop, and I did show that in the video. Now, I also did a war video recently where I showed the America Chavez side of it. It is very powerful, and it's the sort of thing where in the war I didn't really need it, but it was very helpful. But I could see it in fights being something that has to do with the Indestructibles and things like that. Okay. I could see that being on nodes. I could see that being on nodes, or like if there's a huge beefy like Hulkling or something like that, a relatively tough fight, I could see that synergy being really helpful. But the main reason for America Chavez is her ability to just get the power gain going, right? Those of you who've played America Chavez or seen my videos see how much she can just start cycling and cycling and cycling and nonstop. Or if you've fought in a very opposite America Chavez with her on defense, you know that she can just start throwing powers and she throws her SB1 and she's like, it's like she doesn't use the powers, it just keeps gaining. And if that's how Abyss is gonna, or if Necropolis is gonna work, and if that's gonna be extremely helpful, then this is a champion that's obviously gonna be able to handle it. Plus, remember, while she's doing that, she's mitigating armor, and she's also potentially fully reversing power gain. So if there's like a fight with a ton of armor, or if there is a fight with a lot of power gain, this is a champion that would be really wonderful there, and does honestly very good to great damage. She doesn't have ramp though, so that's the one thing to keep in mind there, though she does very, very good damage. If you're like not a believer, check out my playlist. You can see the last war video and like how absolutely quickly she's destroying rank 5 ascended Hulklings and things like that. So keep your eye on this. I've got her at number 5. Might be a little bit of motivated reasoning. Also the fact that I have mine at rank 2, but I will definitely be testing her if there's anything that looks like it might make sense. Okay, speaking of America Chavez and her gal pals, her friends here, my number 4, yeah, I want to make sure I hadn't lost count, is actually none other than Kate Bishop herself. I put out a video of my Ascended Kate doing just ridiculous, like eye-popping damage. Campo did an Ascended Kate Bishop video, does a really nice job of talking through the different lengths of fight and the different ways to go about using her trick arrows. And that really makes sense because all we had in the CCV to test is this large health pool Captain America, and I do think it's good testing. I really do. The AI is better. It's much better than the Winter Soldier, but what it's not is it's not actually Necropolis itself. And I really don't believe, I think none of us do, that Necropolis nodes and defenders are going to just be like basically nodeless and this very basic defender. So I think knowing her arrow system, knowing how it's going to work, and knowing how to prioritize that will be very beneficial and something that you're going to want to use. Kate also requires a very high skill ask. MSD also did his videos on it, and the three of us chatted and learned a lot from each other, of course. But make sure you check out MSD and then definitely Campo's video on talking through the arrows and things like that. And honestly, you can check mine out too. I think it's pretty good. But let's go ahead and move on to my number 3. It's staying in the skill class. You may be aware of this champion. There's been much to do. None other. Where is he? He's hiding. Than Baron Zemo. Now, I'm not even going to get into it all because I think it's all a bunch of jokes. I really do, and I've been having a good time with it. And Baron Vega, I really like that guy. I really like Baron Vega. Hopefully, you saw my video with the the giveaway and all that stuff and the short. We've been having a lot of fun with that. But the fact of the matter is Baron Zemo was that we were told it was great in long form content, and it was like, okay, that's great, but we're all done with Abyss. Well, guess what? There's long form content. Now, Karate Mike is a phenomenal player. Loves Baron Zemo. I like Baron Zemo too, but Karate Mike was able to show off a ton of really cool tricks. I mean, they look like tricks, but I don't think they are. I think the designer of Baron Zemo is really good at designing champions and intentionally put all this stuff in there. Karate Mike happened to figure them out and then uses them. And then guess what? Karate Mike says, this is a really cool, fun champion. He's having a good time and he shows us. It's all fun. It's all fun. But now it's go time. Now it's like, here's the thing. You want to stack up 99 bleeds and do incredible damage? Here you go. Here's your Baron Zemo. here's your racetrack to finally race your race car. It's like having a Porsche, but living in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, and that's like all there ever is. So you got your Porsche, but you can never take it over 25 miles an hour. Well, now we've got a racetrack for our Porsche, and I think we're really going to find out, is Zemo good? The only thing that's going to hold him back is the fact that he's a 6-star, you know? But we can still extrapolate from there, and if he's excellent for it, we're going to have a very, very good time. Vega has asked me to introduce number 2. I think it's ridiculous, disrespectful that I am here. What is this, some sort of mutant Batman? Why would Vega ask me to introduce number 2 when I should be introducing number 1? I don't know what Vega's talking about. These are leaks. I've told you I know all the truths, and I will tell you what they are. And the truth of the matter is, I actually don't know if Strife's gonna be good in a Necropolis kind of name is as a Necropolis of Legends. There's been Labyrinth of Legends, Abyss of Legends, and now Necropolis. It makes no sense. Who's in charge over there? Some dude, some bro. But I saw Simula's video of Strife, and it is impressive. And no, Strife will not actually be good. There does seem to be good reason to believe he might be. And if you're a reasonable person, you should probably check out that video and try Strife yourself in Necropolis. That guy's weird. He's a little intense, but honestly, he's nice once you get to know him. He talks about leaks a lot, though. But the relevant part here, or the end of this, is the number 1 for me is Shuri. And, you know, I'm aware that Strife is number 2. And I think there's more reason to believe, like if I had to bet, I would say that Strife is more likely to take a variety of fights for you. There's a lot of utility there. And honestly, Simile does a really good job of showing it. And I looked at it and I was like, I think this would be tough to cancel out. I think the ass would have to be getting very, very specific. And they might be. So Strife might not be usable. Like Baron Vega told you. Go watch some of his video and then make sure you test it out before you rank up your Strife. But I do feel almost certain about this. This I almost would bet on. Is that Shuri's going to be very good for at least a few fights. She's very much a ramp-up champion. That's been there since before her buff. Before her buff, she was still a phenomenal long-form champion. But then they buffed her and she's pretty good in shorter form, as I've shown you in my videos. She also has some really unique utility, right? With like the ability accuracy, the miss actual thing, her immunity set. There's a lot there that you could see being asked for in various nodes, fights, and defenders. And like I said, her ramp is still there, and they made the refreshing on her ramp pretty, not easy, but I don't think it's something where you're going to be too challenged to do it, or no more challenge than you should be in content like this. She feels really well built and well made for it. It just, like I said, if I had to bet, and this is why she's my number 1, she's the one that I am the most certain of will be good in this format. Now, she was good in short form, and I love using her in battlegrounds, battle groups, battlegrounds, and in war. So that's why I took her to rank 2. But I also did take her to rank 2, knowing that if long form ever came out, I'd probably be very happy that I had her. This was a lot of fun. Obviously, we had a lot of fun with Cabro and Baron Vega. I really appreciate both of them coming along and joining in this video. Let me know if you enjoyed them, because I'd like to get them in more videos and just involve them. They're such wonderful, wonderful people, and I appreciate their help and them providing different perspectives and things like this. But what I really want to know, is who are your MVPs? Who are you the most sure you'll be able to use? Who are you the most excited to test out? And then who are your busts and your sleepers? Who are you like, Vega, I know you said this, but I think you're going to bust on this one. They're not going to work. And who are your sleepers? We're like, people aren't talking about these champions, but you know what? I can't wait to go in and test them. I'm excited for this content. I think it's really cool. It's exciting. It's getting the community excited and a buzz. I can't wait for it to get here. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.